Good afternoon, everyone. Very warm welcome here to the auditorium and at Basel, Miami Beach. I'm very excited to kick off the first panel in a series of 3 of digital dialogues. Art Basel's program of talks featuring key figures shaping digital culture, including artists, thinkers, collectors, and advisors. These sessions will explore new modes of creation, collecting, and critical engagement emerging across the digital landscape. And I am very happy to introduce our first panel, entitled Meme Lords and Market Gods, the Absurdities of Digital Culture. With me to explore this today and conducting a very special live every day are Mike Winkelman, aka Beeple, Amanda Schmitt, art advisor, and unfortunately Matt Hall couldn't be with us today, but giving us yet another angle, we have Benny Gross, who is a rare Pokémon. Will we find out what that is? I'll leave that up to the moderator. And art patron from New York. And you are in the very capable hands of Natalie Stone, founder of StoneWorks, who's moderating the panel. Please join me in giving a huge hand of applause. And Natalie, over to you.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Today we are exploring one of the strangest and most revealing forces in contemporary culture. How jokes become markets, how pixels become assets, how internet imagery becomes art history. This panel is called Meme Lords and Market Gods because networked art, humor, speculation often live side by side. So I'm your moderator, Natalie Stone. I've served as a steward of the CryptoPunks IP for many years and work with artists and institutions exploring art, technology, systems, blah, blah, blah. Behind us, or actually to the right of me, we have Beeple, and he's creating a brand new Everyday Live. So assuming there might be some newbies in the audience, for anyone who needs a definition, an everyday is exactly what it sounds like. Mike has made and posted artwork every day for more than 17 years. It's basically watching the internet culture be revealed in real time. So Mike, before we dive in, anything you want the audience to know about today's piece as it starts to take shape?
Thank you, everybody, for coming here. Very much appreciate the opportunity. Is there anything I want them to know? Not really.
Okay, all right. Do you want them to know that you described it as basically pooping and peeing at the same time to me?
No, I said I could talk and do it at the same time, which is kind of like pooping and peeing at the same time. Yes. Does anybody have any ideas? I was going to start out with these dogs that we have at the sort of fair here, but there's a lot of different things we can do between AI and sort of this workflow. So if anybody has any ideas, we could. What do we got here? Okay. We can do.
All right, we got one kiss, one hump.
Forms
request.
of physical affection.
God, you posed it.
Ship it. All right. So, up next, we also are joined by Amanda Schmitt, who works with artists, institutions, collectors, museums, and she's helped guide some of the most significant and complex acquisitions and commissions in our space. So, Amanda, are you going to fill us in all of those secret deals and buyers?
No, I have duct tape on my mouth, just like a banana.
Okay, and then last but not least, Benny Gross, patron, collector, community force, and one of the clearest voices, I think, in the space of how we value virality and belief form in real time. And to me, he understands the pulse of online culture better than almost anyone. So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't know if any of that's true, but I appreciate it. So
yeah, ChatGPT thought it was true.
ChatGPT knows who I am.
They do now.
I'm gonna tell my mother.
I trained the model a little bit. So yeah, full disclosure, the organizers at Art Basel invited us to be the fun panel. Telling someone to be funny is pretty much a death knell on humor, but we'll do our best because we have a master satirist, a rare Pokémon, and someone who has explained an alarming number of penis jokes to museum boards, I'm guessing.
Yes, actually, yeah.
You know good penis jokes?
I know how to dissect and explain them, but I feel like dissect is not really the right word you
no.
should use alongside.
Unwrap.
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 Wrap it.
Let's unwrap that.
Wrap
like-
it on.
We're going to wrap that later. Okay, so let's begin with humor. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Beeple, Mike. Humor is one of your sharpest tools. Slapstick, grotesque, maybe a wink. What does humor let you reveal about culture that sincerity cannot?
Okay, I did not expect these questions to be so hard hitting. I thought I was just gonna get a bunch of softball bullshit questions that I could mindlessly answer while I do this picture. What does humor offer that what was the
Why don't you just talk about your humor?
talk
could
about
keep
my
it
humor?
loose.
I don't know. I think I'm not purposely trying to make things funny, I guess. It's just more like the ideas that I have are very absurd. And I'm not like, what would be like a funny thing to do today? It's more just like I do things and then I guess sometimes they end up being funny. But it's not like really like a conscious sort of like, I'm going to use humor to like illustrate this post-modern blah, blah, blah like thing. It's just kind of, there's less thought to it than you would think. Let's say
I
that.
mean,
A lot of times, though, I think what gets a good laugh is something that's not necessarily meant to be humorous, but makes the subject uncomfortable, and that's the reaction is laughter. And so we might not think of it as funny, but it's definitely touching something that's making us uneasy. And rather than crying or getting angry, laughter is like the more joyful response to it.
I don't know about what I want
What
to
she
touch
said.
after I see your pieces, but I do believe that you were going for humor when you made an everyday of me recently.
Can we show that?
I mean, if you're okay with it,
It's not me. Okay.
they might not invite us back
We're
again
gonna show.
to.
This might be the last.
Yeah.
Or about
you guys were the fun panel.
Yeah.
I want you to know that he doesn't claim this to be
Is
humor.
this an 18+ audience here?
Amanda says this is. What did you call it
This
again?
is again. This
It wasn't
is-
humor.
They
It's
made it-
what?
Well, I was just talking about discomfort, but
Yes.
I think that the
Like
thing
I don't know how I'm supposed to show this to my children.
That's what I asked. I said, have your because your children follow what you do, and I wonder.
That she did ask that question, and what was your answer, Benny?
My wife. That's. I don't. I will show it to my children at some point. I don't want to traumatize them, but I
Yeah.
do believe it's necessary for them to grow up seeing how important it is to be in an artwork with Cheetos in your butt.
Yeah. Well,
Natalie, I think this is a good time for me to bring up what I was just telling you.
yeah, I would love
right?
that. I would love that. Let's bring a little civility to this panel.
Could we go back to the Cheeto picture?
What? Okay. Okay.
Um,
Back at the Cheeto picture.
So
Do we have to have this up there for this?
just etch it in your mind, then we can go back
yes,
to the other.
etch it in your mind. Take a second.
We can go back to the dogs, which I think is more of a comfort place than this one.
See, now they're not so creepy, are they? Now they're pretty adorable.
Now you can
It
put up
be
where you want.
worse. It can be worse.
Can you make a dildo tree while we're at it?
So Natalie and I were chatting earlier this week about memes. Like, obviously, that's the topic of this panel. We'll probably get into that more, but I was really trying to think, okay, how would one define a meme? There are, of course, standard definitions. There are subjective definitions. But the thing that popped in my head was this thought, which I actually use for art a lot of the times too, but I know it when I see it. You know art when you see it, and with a meme, you know it when I see it. That's my personal take on it. And I was thinking, where does that saying come from? Like, it's so, it's kind of like in the fabric of society. And I ended up looking into it and found out that term is sort of this cultural moment that came out of a Supreme Court case in the 1960s. I don't have the full details of it, but it had something to do with free speech and pornography. And the justice at the time was trying to define what makes something obscene. And he says, the threshold is I know it when I see it. And I don't know. I feel like there's some obscenity here, and there's a connection between that and memetics and art. Not all memes, of course, are obscene, but I think there is something about obscenity and absurdity, which are also interconnected, that are aspects about memes that allow them to catch on and proliferate and make them provocative enough for somebody else to imitate or mutate or carry on.
I mean, Amanda, while we're here, I would love to get a definition from you. What is a meme? Just and Benny, you can answer too. I'd love to have both takes.
Do you want to go first?
You should do the definition because I'm terrible at grammar, but yeah.
So a meme is anything that culture wants copied. And I say that using culture as if it almost has agency. A meme is something that emerges out of culture. A meme doesn't, it can be an image, it can be a GIF, it can be a media file, but it can also be an action. A classic meme would be like a Pepe, but a meme could also be the ice bucket challenge or planking. It's something that's sort of inexplicable in culture and society that just takes on and really goes viral, for lack of a better term. It can also be slang. Certain words are mimetic. But a meme is simply a unit of cultural information that has the ability to travel, disseminate, mutate, and evolve in a very rapid and swift form.
I think memetics also actually creates social cultural value to it. It's almost like a token. Because the more mimetic you are, the more, change you could make.
Yeah.
We saw presidential elections and other elections won on memetics. And I think we're not totally understanding the culture of it. While we, or most people in this room, are digital citizens, the next generation are digital natives.
Mm-hmm.
And memetics becomes this sort of, opportunity for them to create social, standards and or become popular, and it actually gives them value for who they are.
Absolutely.
So I think memetics I think we have to start looking at them a little differently of not just, funny memes, but the presence that they put, the importance that they can make, but more importantly, the change they can make to an individual. Because I think as we go further in the future, and you have more AI, people are going to have proof of humanity. So they're going to need to create things to show that they are human, rather than they are not the AIs that are making these memes. So the more that humans create their own memes, it's actually a provenance to actually their own self-worth. And I think that's going to have a lot of value in the future. So when Mike makes a giant penis, I think he's trying to say his value
Oh, God.
is not that he just may have a giant penis, but also that he's leaving this sort of cultural legacy that, here, get out of there. I mean, so I think it defines, it's going to start defining people and who they really are.
Well, speaking of people and who they really are, this section is called No One is Safe. But actually, it's because I know Mike on a friend level as well, and I actually sometimes don't know what
It's very dangerous. What's going on over here?
what his values actually are, politically, spiritually, ethically. So, Beeple, you literally roast everyone.
Okay.
And you never necessarily tell the viewers what you think. I don't think your work is particularly didactic. So are you resisting that? Or is that intentional ambiguity?
Yeah, I think it is intentional, because I think too often works are too literal and they're trying to tell you what you should think versus just letting you sort of like come to your own sort of like conclusions. And so I am purposely trying to ask more questions than give answers. And I think, to me at least, the best artworks do that. And so it's purposely very kind of like ambiguous, because there's also no like agenda behind it. I'm not trying to convince you to think something. I'm just saying, like, here's something that could happen. Benny has whatever up his butt. And so I think, presenting sort of like different scenarios like that, I don't know.
And does the audience reaction change the way that you see your own work? Because it's interesting, like, I'm stationed across from the regular animals exhibition. That's the Stir of Art Basel this year. And I'm hearing all of the reactions. I've heard, beautiful women in flowery dress and a southern accent say, "This is so lovely." I've seen people want to take pictures with their dogs, and I've seen people go, "Oh my God, I hate it." So yeah, how do you respond to that? And that's all happening simultaneously.
I mean, how people react to it is not
Important to you.
well. It's not that. I want people to like it, of course. Like, it's not like I don't fucking give a shit if people like it. It's like, no, of course I would like people to like it, but I also understand that it's not going to be for some people. And I think when you make something that you are very excited about, even if it's very weird, people can like sense that, like, wow, he really went for it with that. Like, and that's like infectious. That sort of like passion. People can innately sense the passion that you had, and the like sort of they can sense, I feel like, how much fun you had making it. And the more fun you had making it, the more fun it is for them to like view it. And so it's very hard to sort of like listen to that voice of like, what is the thing that I most want to make? Because again, like I said, I'm a human who wants to make things that other people like too. So it's very easy to be like, what are people going to think of this? And like, do they like it? Or is this going to be something that's interesting and, academic enough or whatever to like, impress people? But I think blocking that out and listening to that tiny voice, the more you can do that, the more it produces work that sort of ironically or not ironically, but like paradoxically resonates with people.
Oh my God.
So
I was going to say,
Yes.
until I saw this, I think the reactions when people say that they're disgusted by it and they hate it, I think is beautiful.
Oh, it's the best reaction.
I think stirring.
I love the lovely,
right?
but
Yeah, I mean also. I
lovely
love
are
people who
so
love it also.
stirring the
But stirring the pot.
emotions. Yeah.
Any art that could create emotion is beautiful art, in my opinion, because it's making you ask questions and saying things. And I think the whole point of 010 is exactly that. It's art that a lot of people question for a while, and it has to make them ask questions and stir emotions. And they might not like it all. They might say, no, this doesn't work. But the whole point of it was to come and see something new to ask those questions. So for me, I personally, as somebody who collects art, love to collect art that somebody hates while Mike gets locked out of his Gmail. But so I think the reactions are great. I think if everybody likes something, then you would have a problem because it probably would cause some sort of bubble of like, a price that shouldn't be there. So it's good when there's that sort of, I guess what I want to say is friction to me is the most important part of art.
I mean, Amanda, I feel like you're obviously a deep collaborator of Beeple, and I assume you had a preview of what you would be showing here. Did you anticipate the reaction that regular animals would get?
First of all, first time I saw it, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And I knew it would be uncanny, and I had a feeling that it was going to be the viral sensation of Art Basel 2025. So yeah, I absolutely know. But I do think one of the most important aspects of the piece is not just the uncanniness of the robots and the uncanniness of the masks and the particular people that you chose, but it's the fact that you put them in a corral. There's something very powerful and on one hand, like a little bit sadistic about it because it's like human characters, but then we do this with animals all the time, and that's fine. Or you put your dog in a cage, or you leave them in the house locked up. But there is something about keeping them in this little space, bumping into each other and navigating it that makes it even more powerful, rather than if they were like a Roomba just kind of roaming around the fair. And then of course there's what I think is very obvious, but a very simple aspect of the work is we have all the robots in the corral. We're looking at them, but they're looking at us. And we're becoming part of the work that these robots are making. And so there's this kind of switcheroo moment that happens.
It's so interesting you say that because I think when we were first talking about it, Eli was saying like, oh, maybe we'll have the robots go around the whole building And I actually agree with you. I think the fact that they're in the spot and everybody has to come to them
Yeah.
is so much better.
Yeah.
Like if they travel, they would lose that feeling a little bit. Like having to be and going to the pen
Yeah.
and like wanting to get into the pen.
Did you
know?
like, is the pen important to you, or was that more of like a condition of presenting this within an art fair context?
I mean, logistically, the way they move, they are bumping into walls, and
Yeah.
sort of like they need the only thing keeping them from just like wandering away is that pin that they like basically like see something and then they stop and then they like turn around, and so just sort of logistically there was always going to be like a pin. But I think it being this sort of like glass, sort of like cage in a way, I think makes it just like a weird alternative to like a normal sort of like booth. And
Yeah.
so and
Yeah,
the
it's
fact that
literally
you
like this.
can't-
It's like 100-square-foot booth.
yeah, and that you can't like go in and see it sort of like closer creates this like weird sort of like friction, and it's like weird, almost like voyeur sort of like a feeling to it. Yeah.
It also makes it a little bit more marketable, because when you have a fixed dimension, you can literally list your dimensions and make it into a sculpture. Whereas if they're moving around the fair, then it's more of an ephemeral performance. So we are in an art fair, and this is the Market Gods panel.
Market gods.
So maybe it all worked out that way.
And I think
For a
they,
reason.
Eli and the Basel team did a really good job of placing it where it was. I think that's a huge thing, placement in general, because people came to see it and then were dragged into everything else. Because wayfinding could be a little bit better here. Sorry, Basel, don't get mad. Just impossible to find things. But like 0 to 10 is really easy to find. But once you were like dragged in and you saw it, you're like, wait, what else is here? And I think that's a detriment. Sorry, it's something that Mike is so good at, or Beeple, sorry, is that he creates incredible art that, is his art. But if you look at the way the whole environment works, it creates an invisible thread that connects to every artist in our community. And this is a perfect example of how that works. It's like connect, bring in, and then you see everybody else. And that, to me, is why this always works so well.
Well, it's definitely, Matt Hall, who wasn't able to join us, is we are in the booth, Larva Labs, next door, and it is very much an exercise and a practice based on minimalism and constraint, and the two in juxtaposition to each other.
Having them move.
I think, and then they keep getting captured in the imagery of the NFTs that are being pooped out of the bottom of the regular animals. So, but it is drawing more people to 0-10. And just while we're here talking about 0-10, Benny, this is a question for you.
I don't know how I'm supposed to answer this. I'm having sex with myself right now. I don't know if you've noticed that. So whatever question you ask me, I'm going to be.
Well, I think you're going to like this question.
Okay, ask me.
It's
go.
not you, it's a mimetic version of yourself.
Yeah.
You're right. There you go.
So it's a self-replicated version of you. So there's been a little controversy even within our community about showing up at Art Basel. And even there's sometimes a little bit of resistance to entering museums and, that desire for institutional validation. Sometimes it's positioned as a betrayal to some of our internet-born, bottoms-up ethos value. And I'm just kind of curious, like, what's your response to that?
Go fuck yourself. No, I'm just kidding, kind of. In truthfulness, I understand that it could feel like that maybe we're selling out in that way. But I'm not an art historian like my good friend Amanda here, but, I was going to Paris and I was on the phone. I was going with Amira, my wife, who has a master's in art history. And when I came back, I don't know if you remember, I had this great conversation with you about, learning in depth about the salon in the late 1800s and how they weren't invited to any of these things. And finally, it got to a point where they had to invite them because they needed to, because they're like, well, academically, art is changing, and we need to open our eyes to what else is out there. So I would say that, just to dispel some myths, is that Noah, Horowitz, who's the CEO, really truly believes in this. He sees this, he has a vision, he understands that there's a connection here. So for him, this wasn't us, renting out space. This wasn't about us trying, and I say all of us as a royal we, trying to, push into something that didn't belong here. I think it was a moment that finally people from the traditional art space were looking in and saying, hey, there's something actually going on here that we want to be a part of as well. And I think it's a moment in time that we're going to see that people are going to come in and be really proud of that. Now, do I think that we don't want to lose our punk side? I agree with that, 100%, those people who are saying that. Like, we don't. Like, having our culture, like, sort of being, like, this sort of FU, or having people like Beeple who are putting giant green dildos all over the place, and or pictures like that, I think that makes us special. I think that people are peeking in, and they're actually saying, like, hey, this is different. I want to know what's going on here. And I think, again, that's part of that friction that we can't be afraid to are. So I get the controversy in some ways of people being like, if you're going to do this, do it right. But I have a lot of faith in Basel, in Noah, in Eli, and most of all in the artists and the, just to say very seriously, the artists and the galleries who spent a lot of time putting their time and effort, who are not making a lot of money off of this, who really are trying to make a moment. They deserve all the credit, and they're here. So I would guess, like, I would say reserve your judgment until this is over, right? And obviously Mike's thing is exploding and it's amazing, but I think there's a lot of really good art there that people just need to see. So I would say give it a chance before you do that, and But I do think that this could be a better sort of time that we could at least the transition could happen, because I think we talk about this all the time. These are the most incredible storytellers and artists that I know. So why shouldn't they have the world to tell that story to?
I mean, the history of the avant-garde is that eventually it becomes mainstream.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time, and then you make room for the next wave.
That will rebel against us.
Yeah.
Let's just say, if I can jump in for a second, when this becomes mainstream, I don't know. I don't even know where I was going.
I
don't know.
I don't even know where I was going.
You
with
could be
that.
getting soft.
I know
people.
it seems unfathomable to you, but I wouldn't put it out of.
Things are gonna get weird.
I mean,
Think
to
of
be
it.
fair,
There's always like the Picasso analogy. You know, when people saw Cubism, they thought like this was absolutely wretched.
yeah.
And now, the idea of sort of like what a beautiful modernist painting looks like would be a Cubist painting. I'm sure if you asked GPT that, you would get a pseudo Picasso.
Fun. So even but the thing is, you might not be main.
This is actually more realistic now of my life. This represents a lot of things in my life right now.
Okay, so why don't we pause a second? And why don't we talk a
little
little bit
distracting.
about the tools and your process? Like, let's get a little check-in here, people. What are you using? What's happening? Fill us in on what's going on.
Using a couple different things here. So this is Cinema 4D. This is the program that I've used for many years that most of the everydays are sort of like based on. And it is a 3D program where you basically have this sort of 3D space in which you can put different objects, and you have a sort of like virtual camera that I can like move around in the space and do whatever, and add lights and sort of like move people around and make people bigger, do anything. And this is the same sort of like program that like Pixar movies are made out of, and video games use 3D engines like this. And so you can do a lot of different things. And I've used this again for many, many sort of years to make all the everydays. Recently, AI has gotten so good and so directionable, because for a long time you couldn't really give it that much direction with it. It would just kind of return it would get confused easily. So now I can kind of like take and make sort of like a rough sketch in this, and then bring this into another sort of like program. In this case, it's this Nano Banana Pro, which is a model from Google that just came out maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and is insane, absolutely like state of the art. And I can say, okay, take this image. So I basically had the image. Then I went and got a picture of Benny's face and said, change the heads of the robot dogs to the person in this picture and have the picture set at Art Basel Miami with a crowd. And it takes that picture, takes this picture, and like puts them together with this thing and like makes a picture that's much more detailed and would have taken me way longer to do in Cinema 4D. I still could have done it in Cinema 4D, but it would have taken me like hours to do in Cinema 4D to grab in all these different assets and bring in the little models of like lights and all this stuff. And it can make it in like 2 seconds. And to me, I'm always wanting to use the sort of like most advanced tools to like get the story out as quickly as possible, get the like ideas out as quickly as possible. Then, separate from the everydays, just because we're fucking around here, I took these images and put them into this other sort of like program called Kling, and it's a video model, and you basically can feed in the first frame of something and give it direction as well. And so in this case, I said, have these dogs escaping the pen and going crazy. They're destroying the artwork around the fair, and people are running scared. And then it takes the image and starts from that image and then does what you want. And so this is how, when you see videos and things that people are making online, this is a similar workflow where they're usually generating an image, a still image, and then they generate a ton of still images because you can do that very fast, and then they take that as the first frame and then make video from that.
I used AI. You want to show them the AI I did of you and me? Mrs. Beeple, I'm really sorry about this one. I don't know if you saw, but I decided that maybe I could be an artist, and I wanted to answer Mike's post of me. So I used if you could.
Where is it?
No, I think it's way further up. There it is. I felt we needed to share the Cheetos together.
The Cheeto dust.
So I do think AI is a really powerful, amazing tool.
To unlock creativity. Well, I guess I'd be curious, Amanda, as you're speaking to your collectors and institutions, how does the involvement of AI shift the way that they're grasping the work, receiving the work? I'd love to get a little bit of a window into those conversations. I mean, for context, even though Beeple says that he's not, mainstream, he is currently, or at the LACMA, pretty mainstream. So, yeah.
He was on TMZ today also.
Yeah, well, he's made it.
Yeah.
TMZ and CNN in one day?
And the New York Post.
Yes.
And that, you get a New York Post, forget
man.
it. You made it.
But Amanda?
Well, on that topic, Beeple is currently the subject of a solo exhibition that's up at LACMA, and which originated at the Shed this summer in New York. It is a exhibition called Diffuse Control, and it features a singular kinetic sculpture that Beeple made, and it uses AI to collaborate between what Mike describes, or what Beeple describes as all of human creativity. And when he says that, Mike thinks about AI as this beautiful tool because it is looking back on all human cultural artifacts that have existed and have been able to have been digitized and uploaded, and therefore act as material for AI to grasp onto or to learn from or to mutate and eventually evolve with. So you have the AI, which is this huge kind of infinite resource. You have the artist who made Diffuse Control. You have the institution and the curators who choose what goes into that institution. And you have the viewers. And in this piece, Diffuse Control, sorry, I would pull it up if I had it. But
Here,
maybe we can find a video of it. Oh, yeah. Curators choose certain artworks to put into this piece, which has this beautiful kind of kinetic, hypnotic fishbowl effect, and viewers are able to come up, scan a QR code, and literally take control of the artwork. So you are at the museum, and you, the viewer, are choosing what that piece is going to look like. You can change the latent space, so that's kind of the material that the AI is grabbing from and then reacting to, and you can also change the color or saturation. And then even from there, so it changes in front of you, but there's also a gamified component to it, which is that if there's more than one person at the museum trying to interact with this sculpture, the sculpture starts to glitch. And it takes a moment, and I've like sat and I've watched people, you know, during just normal museum hours, people who, you know, didn't have me explain the piece to them, and it takes them a moment. They think, oh, I was controlling the artwork, and now it's glitching. What's going on? And you look around, and maybe 10 feet away, there's somebody else with their phone making a face, and you realize, oh, we're competing against each other.
Yeah.
And I've seen people start to talk to each other in that moment, like, oh, is that you? And then they have a conversation. If you have more than 2 people doing it at the same time, you have the opportunity to reach what's called collab mode. And that is an opportunity to collaborate together rather than to fight against each other, but to collaborate to kind of achieve the next level of the piece. So I won't go too far into diffuse control because it's a wonderful and very complex artwork that we could spend a whole hour talking about, but it is a piece that at the 2 institutions that have showed it thus far, they've seen just an uptick in visitor interaction, a new level of attention to the piece. And it's the same thing with the animals piece that's in Basel. I was walking around the fair this morning with some collectors, and we were looking at great paintings, but we would stop, look at the painting, that's nice, look at another painting. When we came up to Beeple's piece, we stood there for like 15 minutes. They didn't even turn around to ask me about it. They were just zoned in. And so I do think there is something about these new technologies, whether it's AI or robotics or another tool that you might start using, but even IX Shells is an interactive piece. There's the there's many interactive works in the 0-10 sector. And I think that says something about what humans want in culture right now. They want to be able to see themselves in the work or have some sort of effect on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the greatest scientific technology we have as humans is pooping. If you think about it,
Tell
right?
me more.
Tell me more.
Like, if we couldn't poop, it would be a problem. So I think innately we're fascinated by poop.
And this is referencing the animals that are
Correct.
pooping, but what they're actually doing in this sculpture is they're digesting information that they're collecting. The AI is literally digesting it or masticating it or whatever, and then spitting out a new.
I understood 2 of the words that
object.
you said there, but it sounded so smart, and people's not listening, so we're just going to all agree with you.
Well,
No, I do agree. I think well, I don't agree with the pooping thing or whatever you're talking about there, but I do think I do think that these digital works, because people's attention spans are now down to absolutely nothing, I think have the power to be more visceral and more interactive in a way that especially the younger generations, our kids, you know, are I hate to say it, growing up on iPhones and iPads and with all the dazzles of modern life. And so I think getting through to people and sort of like breaking through that noise, I think digital art and the digital mediums do have a sort of advantage because of just how sort of like visceral they can be in a way that I think is, you know, tough for maybe paintings to be. You know.
yeah, I think the technology and the tools that you have now, Hans Ulrich Obrist called your art the art of the extreme present. And I think that's only, I mean, we're witnessing it right here as well. I mean, and that's only possible with these tools to unlock that level of essential, like, reactivity.
Yeah.
Well, essentially, it's an attention economy that we're growing into now, right? So as much attention as you could get. So I agree with you. When you're standing there for 15 minutes or you're taking a picture and a video, clearly it's getting the attention that you want it to. And, you know, so.
Well, I think attention is actually a perfect shift because I think we're going to we should talk a little bit about the market god aspect of this panel. And we're here at Art Basel, and, you know, it's where you talk about money and sales and art, and is there a difference? Who knows? But why don't, for me, I have seen this space as a black mirror of the traditional art world where sort of like it reveals the financialized aspect of traditional art and like what it already is, but kind of just lays that bare in a way that maybe makes traditional art feel uncomfortable. So do you think, would you agree with that statement? It's fine if you don't. Or do you think that we're living through something that's actually fundamentally new to the group?
Okay, so I probably don't know as much as about financialization of art as much as Amanda does. So I'll give my perspective of being new to art, because you have had the grace of doing it for a while. For me, I think that I'm learning a lot, just to be very honest. So to me, there's the art world, and then there's the art price, and sometimes they mix and sometimes they don't. And clearly, we don't want to create, zombie formalism, right? And we want to create good art that has value. So for me, I think it's a mix. Clearly, we had some kind of, early, 2020, probably a boom that was a bubble for our space, and it created an environment of prices that were probably either worthless or worth less. But I do think that over time, there has to be some kind of connection to monetary value. With that said, I think when you're in an emerging market and a new art sort of whatever this is, you should be collecting what you love first. Because what ends up happening is that if you make a relationship with artists, in my opinion, and you connect with them, you're almost making like this investment in their future as like a early Series A investment in somebody. So I think that because digital art and where we are in our community and we're so early, it's important to take those investments that could lead to bigger investments. But what you're also investing in is their future and the future of the community. So I think to just be like, the price can't matter is just ridiculous. Like we can't just pretend that that's not part of it. It has to be part of it. And you're always going to have artists who are going to be worth more, and you're going to have artists that aren't selling for as much. But over time, I truly believe that if we onboard really good artists and good storytellers, and we create an environment for them that they have the ability for the first time to create an artist economy where they have direct connection with the collectors, is a very big deal. So I think that we actually could create more artists, and I think we could create a better economy for artists. And that's not to take away from galleries at all or events like this. It's just that we're stepping into a different world where interaction between humans is becoming a lot smaller. So therefore, somebody who's totally in another world or on the opposite side of the world could still sell you a piece of art. And I think that's going to help bring prices, have some levity. But over time, yeah, I mean, I don't think you could just separate them. I'm learning that they're very much in tandem a lot of times, but you can't let it get out of hand.
Amanda, do you have a response to that?
I have some thoughts about art and its markets. I recently read a piece in the Brooklyn Rail by Bob Nickus. I forget the title, but it's something about like, have we reached the end of contemporary art? And I may be getting, I might be paraphrasing him wrong, but he kind of describes art of the last 20 years as sort of the mature period of contemporary art, and that we've kind of reached this existential moment where there's a lot of spiritual malaise because the art has become so intertwined with the market. A lot of the artists that are most successful or not just doing well commercially, but eventually then become the most visible and then have the museum shows, it's because they have a strong market behind them. And that for some reason, there's a lot of unhappiness about that. And I posit that perhaps if there is a post-contemporary moment or movement, or maybe it will have a different term, it's a world where contemporary art is intertwined with its market, and that is a positive, and that it's a powerful and accelerating force. And we are seeing that with the NFT technology. So an NFT is simply a way to prove digital ownership of a digital asset. And an artist like Beeple and many others have been able to distribute their digital artworks through this technology. And this technology is built directly on Ethereum, which is a currency. And so we have this world where some of your works, your everydays, are just to exist as digital files. Some of them eventually get minted into an NFT and therefore are intertwined with this currency. And I think this digital sector, 010, you know, the majority of the artwork that is available at this fair is both an artwork and a currency at the same time. So you have the value and the art kind of married and coupled.
So you're saying the picture of me with Cheetos in my butt is on chain forever?
Well, I don't think it hasn't been minted yet.
Hasn't been minted yet.
Thank
It's
God.
priceless.
Not yet.
You could mint it.
It's priceless.
Please don't.
Well,
If you collect it, you can.
I think there's no collection that embodies the idea of what you just put forth about like the connection between the currency and the art than CryptoPunks. And I recently had a little tweet go a little viral, a divisive opinions about it, but I basically said CryptoPunks have had $370 million in secondary sales in 2024 alone.
$370 million.
317 million.
Okay.
So that would put them in the same range as a Jeff Koons, George Richter, Yayoi Kusama. A lot of people said it's not the same thing. You can't compare it because they're not included in a lot of like art world rankings, etc. So I was surprised how many people championed the post and how many people were sidebarred and texted me that they did not agree with it. So I'd love your take on it, especially as, you know, Amanda and I are working on an exhibition for CryptoPunks together, coming up at Node Foundation very soon. So,
Well, the innovation of CryptoPunks is that it's a piece of generative artwork in which 10,000 JPEGs were created, and these JPEGs are pixelized portraits, and so you have an aesthetic, unique digital object. But the artists who made CryptoPunks, Larva Labs, Matt Hall and John Watkinson, as we're working on this exhibition, which is going to open in 2026, it was really important for them to position the marketplace as the artwork. That it is not, it is, yes, it exists as a JPEG and a visual artifact, but that the artwork is the software that they made that enabled these transactions. But I guess you're asking that people didn't think that what they were making was art, and therefore it's not the same as Yayoi.
That you couldn't compare those like meteoric sales numbers to the sales numbers of other contemporary living artists. And I think, I mean, you know, obviously we all know Beeple's meteoric $69 million sale, you know.
There we go.
Where are we at?
Pretty good.
Pretty good today.
3.89 billion in sales. So yeah, I mean, do you think that Matt and John are comparable to a Koons, a Richter, a Kusama?
Yes.
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 And the
Art is art.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I mean, like maybe it's going to take some time for more people to recognize that, but I don't mind being part of a very small group of people that recognize it right now. I have zero problem.
Honestly,
with
the confusion and the divisiveness and the fact that this debate is happening is a good thing, and it only brings more attention to the question.
I don't know. I mean, what do you feel?
If we were all unanimously in agreement, it'd be pretty boring.
It would be very boring. Yeah. I mean, I think Mike's sale for $69 million was amazing, but also people like, you know, tend to, oh, $69 million. But, you know, they don't know the things that Mike did with that money. For instance, he bought the state of New Jersey and, you know, life-size dildos. But he also built an incredible studio that, I don't know, 6 times, 7 times a year, he has these incredible events where it's not just filled with his work, but artists that I've never even met that he invites down to showcase their work and believes in them. I've never seen someone give back, you know, so much of the money that he's earned. And I know that other artists in our space
Maybe
have done
him
that as well.
and Donald Judd
Donald Judd, yeah. Right.
investing back into
Yeah.
So Mike, checking
the
in.
exhibition space,
Did you
real estate.
Real estate.
real
yeah.
estate? Did you are you done with your everyday?
We're done. We're ready to post.
Yeah. Why don't we
Anybody
see
have
your
a title? Okay, we'll do a little thing. So We've got Benny as a robot dog eating Cheetos.
I could show this one to my kids, I think.
Yeah, I feel like this is
Yeah,
pretty chill.
talk us through where you landed.
I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think anybody who wasn't in this room would definitely immediately understand this artwork. So, yeah.
You know it when you see it.
You know when you see it. Okay, what's the title of this? We need a
Are my
title.
eyes glowing because I'm giving myself an amazingly good time that my eyes just glow?
I don't know. Maybe. Okay, what are we titling it?
All right, we'll take some audience votes. Yummy.
You know it when you see it?
You know it when you see it.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
That's pretty good. Okay, there it is.
Ship
Who
it.
said that? Stand up.
There
Ah!
it is.
Stand
That's
up.
Very
Perfect.
good. There it is. I
Yay.
like it. Okay.
An amazing collector in our space.
Posted. Done.
All right, we're posted. We're live every
you
day.
just post it? Well, let me text my mother-in-law.
Man, we didn't even get like a haptic like.
Just wanna make sure she
buzz.
sees
I
this
was-
one
I
also.
was like expecting some confetti or something.
Mildly anti.
You know, we should have had
Yeah.
like balloons. Remember when I pied Eric in the face?
They didn't have the production budget we needed for the
No.
balloons. They
Yeah.
denied me on that one.
Next year.
All right. Well, we have a little more time.
Okay.
So we can talk about many things, or we could wrap up. But I have maybe one fun closing question. All right. Imagine a grad seminar in 2045 called Meme Lords and Market Gods. What's one artwork that belongs on the syllabus? I'll let you go first.
Me? I would say that Homer Pepe. I think the before this current sort of like craze with NFTs, there was a Pepe that sold for $40,000 in I think 2017, 18. And again, at the time, people were just like, what is going on? And so, I think as a sort of cultural phenomenon, I think Pepe is sort of like the Mickey Mouse of the sort of like internet. And I think...
Was that Matt Cain who did that one? No, that was...
No, not Matt Cain. No. The Homer Pepe?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't...
Was this like
Eleanor
rare,
would know
rare
who it
Pepe
is.
card?
Yeah.
What did you say? I'm here. I don't know who did.
All right. Love it.
We'll get that. We'll side note it.
Amanda?
I mean, CryptoPunks and Beeple's Everydays as a complete series.
Oh, I don't know. This is a tough one.
It could be anything. It could even be like a moment on-chain event. Broaden your definition.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I had to say, then it would probably be the $69 million sale because I think if I had to be fair, the $69 million sale catapulted everybody to have a conversation about what's going on. And then I think things like Rafiq at the MoMA opened the door to those things about like, what is this? But this, to me, the $69 million sale was like the what the fuck moment in the digital art space. And I don't think it was even a question. I think you couldn't go anywhere without somebody being like, I could have just made that, or sorry, I'm just saying. But like, that's, or like, that's garbage, or, it was just an inside job, or Mike bought it himself. I don't know. You heard the craziest things. So, I think it catapulted us, and maybe we went too fast, too high, but
Yeah.
everybody, like outside and inside our world, were talking about that because like not very many pieces of art sell for $69 million. So, and it's also the perfect number.
Yeah. I do want to add, though, we're all talking about artworks, and I want to see what memes make it into that graduate seminar, because memes are so fleeting in their power. Some hold over time. Some of the ones that were most strong and powerful in the moment where they were being transmitted and spreading across the globe on the internet, you wouldn't be able to recognize it today. Or maybe you would be like, yeah, I think I remember that thing. Or like even today, when we were, I was researching this and I was trying to think of like what I think is one of the most powerful memes, and it's Wojak.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out how to find Wojak. I was typing into my computer like, guy with wrinkly forehead. And I think there's memes and there's art and there's meme art.
Yeah.
I do believe these are different categories, and I think something that's very special about this moment and about memes is a meme is an art form or a cultural artifact where authorship and anonymity are equally powerful. And up until now, at least in modernism, authorship has been important.
Yeah.
Who is the person that made it? Yeah. Who signed the painting? Yeah. And with memes, most of the time, we don't know who made it.
Yeah.
Or they either we don't know, or it's a pseudonym, or a anonymous person. But those two things are not in opposition in the realm of memes.
I also think we just need to be careful, though, because a meme is still me, and that's what they're trying to get at a lot of times. It's like, it's a meme, but like again, that attention. So it could get out of control because memes could do things that we don't want them to do sometimes as well. But I am curious to see not just the memes, but the art. I'm always fascinated about thinking about the art that we are looking at every day and our friends that we're talking to that are artists that 50 years from now are going to be famous. And that's exciting to me about the graduate classes they're going to have. Like being in that moment in time, knowing that some of this is going to be in those classes, those graduate classes is I'm not going to lie, is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's end it on that. That I'm looking forward to learning about Cheetos and this moment in 2045 when my kids in grad school are. So thank you so much, everybody. Mike, Amanda, Benny, appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You know it when you see it.
Thank you
very
Natalie.
much.
Thanks for keeping us in the corral.
Thank you all. Thank you also on behalf of Art Basel. Thank you all for being here. It's been an incredibly inspiring panel and a tough hack to follow. But we will be back tomorrow for more panels, starting with incredible artist Hank Willis Thomas, who are talking about writing history. So please come back tomorrow at 11:30 and on. And thank you again for a great day at the conversation. Thank you.